that don't apply to the other shareholders. The BC shares are entitled to make a guaranteed return of 18% a year. 18% a year. Preference shares aren't uncommon. 18% a year is expensive on most marketplaces, but that is unusual.
Brewdog is expected to list its shares in the stock market soon in what's known as an initial public offering, or IPO. This is the point where ordinary investors might hope to see a return on the cash they've invested. That can only happen if Brewdog's market value at the time of the IPO at least covers the very high return that's been promised to the private equity investors at TSG.
If the TSG 18% per year growth isn't delivered by Brewdog's share price.
I completely forgot this was on. I got an alert saying the Brewdog expose was on. So I've got it on my phone. It's currently on BBC Scotland. Doing a sort of little watch along with it and seeing what's going on. I've been a big fan of Brewdog over the years. Obviously, they've had some very poor media over about the last year or so, and obviously this expose that's on BBC Scotland is obviously detailing some of the stuff. One has been watching on while I've been setting up, so I completely forgot it was on, and so I'm interested to see what's going to be said. I say massive fan of Brewdog over the years, but they're at a stage now where this should be sort of fairly interesting. I know I'm a bit late to the party, but yeah, interested. So yeah, hello Craig, hope you're all right. Well, it's only about throwing a cat out of the helicopter or something, wonder.
Yeah, I don't know if they're real or not.
Right.
I don't know what I would.
Hello, Phil. Hello, Steve. So yeah, just I'm watching it.
I'll keep an eye on the chat.
So they're saying that the money, the Brewdog's business model is just to sort of get people to invest and just get people to keep investing, which is. I mean, I was part of the Equity for Punks thing. I've done it. I did it about 5 years ago. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see what's going to come of this. I know that Cloudwater of today announced that they're terminating their contract with Tesco's, as I've seen that David Thompson's just said. So Brewdog made implausible, not unplausible claims that they could be worth $2 billion. Hello, Danny. So it's on Sky, BBC Scotland on Sky and on the iPlayer. You might need to change it to Scotland if you want to watch along. Pardon me. So they made £900 million in crowdfunding, and then 6 months later they asked for more. Funny little that one. Everyone's all right. I don't know much about the whole Brewdog thing. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. Hello, Dave. Received an investment proposal in 2021, which valued the company at £1.8 billion. Ooh. Oh, Danny's up in Liverpool, so they're on about James Watt's business empire now. Invested £2 million in a hedge fund. So they're on about James Watt saying that having a go at other breweries for selling out to bigger breweries. He's had a go at Lagunitas beer, We'll no longer be selling Beavertown beer or attending Beaver X. I wrote this piece in 2015, but seems very relevant today. Apparently, they're saying that he bought James Watt bought shares in Heineken or something. He set a rocket off with a Heineken bottle or something back in 2017. So they're asking someone who's worked at Brewdog if they'd be surprised that James Watt was a shareholder in Heineken, and he just looked bewildered at him. It's quite amusing, to be fair. I mean, the trouble is that Brewdog, they portray themselves as the big independent thing, and they're far from it these days. They're massive, big beer now. I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to the bit where how badly they've treated their staff. That's going to be the interesting one for me, because I know there's been all sorts of allegations, and obviously this documentary, I think James Watt and Martin Dickey have tried to stop. It's obviously been unsuccessful, so we'll see how far the rabbit disappears down the hole. Got too big for their boots, correct? Absolutely. It's they've run roughshod over a lot of stuff, and they've made themselves look a bit silly on certain things, but the stuff that's been written about their business practices with staff, I've tried to keep away from it, but I'd say I completely forgot this was on, and Wanda mentioned that it was on, so I thought we'll come over and watch along together. So it's on BBC Scotland, if anybody wants to watch along. I'm going to be a couple of minutes behind because I'm watching it on iPlayer on my phone, but wrong button. So a lady on here called Charlotte Cook saying it was a laddish atmosphere working at the brewery. My old colleagues making sort of inappropriate comments. She said she felt uncomfortable working there. She left 7 years ago. Fuck off. Anyway, I'm looking a bit like a hobo. So they're on about, so Dave, they're on about Brewdog's practices as a company as a brewery. Over the last year, there've been sort of certain allegations that have had no real stuff to back it up in the public sector, whereas this guy's gone in and done like a full expose by the looks of it onto Brewdog, and he's now put it out there. So it's on BBC Scotland now. You can get on it on iPlayer. You have to change the location to Scotland, or you can get it on Sky Channel 9 something. But yeah, it's basically exposing their business practices and how they've treated their staff. So they've got a lady here that's complained to the management for. And there was a thing last year, Punks with Purpose, where they signed letters to James Watt detailing what had gone on: misogyny, bullying, lying, toxic workplace culture, just a complete shower of shit, really. Cheers, Dave. This guy is saying there's a culture of fear working at Brewdog. So about a guy that had been dismissed from the marketing department, and he's just going to get into the reasons behind that. Hello, Paul. How you doing, mate? So this guy, it looks like he had something to do with the Punks with Purpose thing that went round Brewdog's head office last year, and he was pulled into the office and sacked within 10 minutes. Summarily dismissed, not told why. I asked how he made him feel. He said, "How do I get closure on it?" Not explained to him why he'd been dismissed. So Dave's going to support when he can, but Boris is having a party. So hundreds of people signed this letter last year. There was an open letter to them, the owners of Brewdog, Martin Dickey and James Watt. There was hundreds of signatures. Hello, Mark. It wasn't the first time the Brewdog staff had raised concerns. So in 2019, they did a staff morale thing where they gauged the whole. I'm going to pause it and try to read some of it. And apparently the results were startling. No consideration for their well-being and mental health. 47% feel workload is not reasonable. Lack of staff resource also appeared multiple times. Members think seeing the lead. I can't see that bit. How likely are you to recommend Brewdog is a good place to work? Overall rating -19. South End, there's a graph there telling you that they didn't like it. Yeah, she's getting better, thank you. So they took the findings of the letter really seriously, and they said they'd have immediate actions to it. Oi, oi. Wetherspoon's a craft beer, but I do like the Jet Black Heart, but I boycott them these days. All this scandal came to light, and Dickie is a horrible man. Obviously, I can't comment on people. I can comment on the documentary that's going on, Mark. So they wanted to crack America. Obviously, they got a place out in was it Columbus? So they opened their 8th American bar in Cleveland. So he's got a Brewdog tattoo. I looked at one of them at one point in time. Got to be honest. I think it's at times, mate. Yeah, absolutely. And no company. Oh, fuck off, mate. Right. Have a dickhead back. Same one from last night, is it? So this chap's on about the people that are passionate for craft beer, and are Brewdog actually passionate about it anymore? I'm not sure they are. I think they've just become too much of a big business. So I don't know if anybody else is watching along with this, because you got this chap. So he's obviously done a lot of research into this, and he's looking that he's not left any stone unturned. He's talking to people to get their accounts of it, and he seems to be fully on the ball. So he's saying that craft beer and Brewdog, particularly in the Midwest, have got a real good foothold out there, and it's become like a community, as has the craft beer community, to be fair. Obviously, the craft beer community out in America is huge. It's massive. So this chap worked for Brewdog for 5 years. They're in a place called Canal, Winchester now. So $3 million in incentives from the city, tax incentives, all sorts to bring Brewdog there. So they're saying there's a lot of stories that were coming out of Brewdog, but not a lot of people wanted to actually go on the record and actually speak about it. So they didn't present themselves exactly the way they did business. So there's 8 bars across 3 states, with 2 more planned in America. So this lady's been she worked for them for 3 years, 2018 to 2021. So the Brewdog actually give healthcare out in America. Saying that some people that they've spoken to, that the it's actually live on iPlayer now, Brett. And they're actually saying that these people were excited to start working for them, but it so soon descended into something that they didn't want to be part of anymore. Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? They're big business, and whatever you think of them and their business practices, they're that big now. I don't think it's they don't think they go anywhere. I think as James Watt issued a statement today, I think he did. I haven't read the statement, so I'd have to have a look at it. I think he's denied some of the allegations that have gone on here, so he's going to, isn't he? I bought a shit ton of Brewdog last. We've all done it. We've all bought beers from Brewdog. You know, it's love them or hate them. They're a brewery that generate interest. It's just it is what it is. So questions about his operations begin to surface. They're on about the dog tap bar. TSG Consumer Partners own 22% of Brewdog, correct? So they're on about unusual flavourings in the beers in America have to be declared. So staff said that certain ingredients, certainly one within Elvis juice, weren't agreed with the US, whoever it was, and management pressurised them to use them anyway. Just find a way around the rules. People are often fired without explanation in Brewdog. Jamie Scott would deny the sky is blue on a sunny day. They're showing certain ingredient sheets for some of their beers where certain ingredients weren't actually declared. Extracts. Orange extract. If these extracts have been put into the beers, they should a formula should have been submitted by Brewdog, and it never was. So they're alleging that Elvis juice was illegally shipped to the US because of the extracts that weren't declared. Obviously, that's an allegation on both. Blitz gin. So what they're alleging is that certain beers from Brewdog have got extracts in them, and everything has to be declared within American law, and it doesn't look like they've been following through with that, allegedly. I heard they use grapefruit extracts in Punk IPA. It wouldn't surprise me. For me, I mean, whether they did before, but it's certainly not the beer, and there is a more grapefruit twang to Punk IPA than there's ever been. They ditched Neston chilies for a cheaper sauce too, which is sad. They have. Cheers, Tommy. This chap's obviously alleged to have submitted false documentation to the US for not declaring extracts that are in the beers. Obviously, they're saying that they have to be declared by law. Shortcuts in the importation process, technical inaccuracies. It's never sought to. Brewdog says it's never sought to evade tax or include illegal ingredients. And Brewdog are working hard to change the culture of the company. I reckon the brewery here has been struggling. Tesco tried to crack USA and failed, so Brewdog, not sure. Yeah, they're not going to. It's probably Mark. No, not you, Mark. So they got rid of this woman because she started questioning things, and they accused her of taking a 6-pack of beers. I missed the bit about being on the roof of the James Watt was accused of being on the roof of the dog tap with someone, whether that was the woman he's sacked or not. They're making allegations. I'm not going to repeat the allegations because obviously they're pretty serious allegations, but they're making allegations against James Watt and other women. Apparently, he was caught on camera. Some pretty serious allegations against one of the owners of Brewdog. I'm not going to repeat the allegations because that could get me into trouble. But it's big stuff, and I urge anybody that's interested in Brewdog to go back and watch this because it is really interesting. Apparently, some of these things were caught on camera. So I'm not going to repeat the allegations that have been made because that's not my place to do here. James Watts absolutely had the right, and he's denied any allegations that have been made against him. And that's the problem, Mark. I mean, I bought the equity for Punk. I think I bought it not long after I got divorced. It's not worth anything. It's a pointless thing to buy. And when you look back now, I'd rather have invested the money into Staggeringly Good, or Dave Eastwood's South Sea Brewing Company, or Fallen Acorn, or something like that. It would have been a much better use of the money that I put in at the time. It's pretty good, Mark. To be fair, I don't think there's anything in there that's not been sort of teased before, shall we say. The fact that they've made allegations of the extract stuff, so the extract in the beers have to be declared in American law when it's coming into the country, and they've allegedly not disclosed these things is really interesting. Hello, Mark. How you doing? Yeah, absolutely. I would going back, however many years it was now, 4 years ago when I got divorced, and I invested some money into the equity for Punks. Waste of money, complete waste of money. Always support local. I think what's come out of that's come out of this for me is don't be sucked in by big business. If you've got a local brewery, go and support them, because that money will always go to a better place than supporting a company. And you're talking to one of the people that's drunk a load of Punk beers over the years. They're making allegations of one of the Brewdog's owners conduct around female employees. I'm not going to repeat these allegations on this part. I think it's best if anybody was interested in this, go back and watch it. If they're true, then you can understand why they've hit the problems that they have. Hello, Thomas. I think the problem that Brewdog have got is that they've become so big now that they've almost become untouchable on a lot of things, and whereas their business practices are probably under a bigger microscope now than they've ever been. Female workers were advised on how to act when one of the Brewdog owners was in town. I think it's quite interesting. I think it's I've got 10 Punks in the fridge, Scott. Never drunk it before. They messed with it. Sounded like it was a nice beer, Mark. When it first came out and it was hazy, hoppy, it was a really, really nice beer. Now it's what did Dean call it? A beer masquerading as a beer masquerading as a beer masquerading as a a phenomenal beer that no longer exists, or something like that. And it's absolutely true. It doesn't exist anymore. My beer upstairs is probably going to be a better beer than Punk IPA. James Waters released a statement saying he's going to take legal action against the BBC. Has he really? That doesn't surprise me, Thomas. It's the problem being is you're not going to put out an expose like this if there's no bullet to the gun to the bullet, where it is. It's difficult, but I can see why he will. I did see that he put out a statement. I just haven't had time to read it yet. What have I missed? Just got in from hello, I'm Eddie. Live on BBC Scotland at the moment is an expose of a supposed expose of Brewdog and their business practices. For me, one of the big is the fact that allegedly, and it obviously I haven't made the allegation, is that they've not disclosed all ingredients in their beers when they're importing them into America or selling them in America. So any extract needs to be declared, and on certain things, apparently, allegedly, they haven't. Punk IPA is like Newcastle Brown Ale. See much better. Both once great beers. Absolutely. I mean, you can't put out a program like this if there's no evidence to back it up. And they've obviously got the evidence to back it up. And this chap appears to have done his research by the look of it. He's so James Watt made a statement saying that at no time had he made any inappropriate comments to female staff. They've spoken to Brewdog staff who said they're afraid to speak because they're afraid of losing their jobs. The one thing that's come across, a lot of this is centered out in America. A lot of it, from what I can see and what I've seen of this documentary, the vast majority of it is set out in the States. I'm not saying that's exonerates anybody of anything, but the vast majority of all this is happening out in the States. Doesn't appear to be anything going on in Ellen or in Scotland or anything like that. How deep it goes is a completely different rabbit hole. So Brewdog came out and said that the problems and the letter that was signed and everything that's been alleged against them has been from disgruntled ex-employees. This lady saying she'd ask why there are so many disgruntled ex-employees. I'm assuming she still works for them, or she did. So he said that while he'd been out in America, more and more people have wanted to come forward and speak out about Brewdog. James Watt declined to be interviewed. that the accusations were based on rumour and not accurate. They're questioning whether one of the owners is now fit to actually, and the right person to take the company forward. This guy said the ship's sinking. No smoke without fire. This lady saying that so many people most of the people that work there deserve better and to be treated better. They're after sort of the stories that have come out. They're gonna lead to internal change within Brewdog and make a better company and just do better. And it's finished. So a lot of that was centered around America, and since they've been out, obviously this guy that's done the expose, he's been out to, I would say innocent until guilty, but this is not the first time this has happened, as it was in the news the last 12 months during the last lockdown that employees in the UK spoke out. Completely agree. Innocent until proven guilty, exactly. Don't disagree with that at all. But for a company the size of Brewdog and a conglomerate and a huge organisation the size of the BBC, they're not going to make anything that controversial if they don't have the evidence to back that up. The accusations of just quickly. Hello, mate. How you doing? Happy birthday. Hope you've had a good day, mate. Give me a ring tomorrow if you're free, and we'll have a chat. Yeah. So the accusations of the stuff surround one of the owners and his improprieties towards women. I think that's best you go and watch that yourself and make your own mind up on that, because I don't really want to sort of get involved in that sort of. It's a very difficult thing to comment on. The comments on the beer and the fact that they were not reporting certain extracts, obviously out in America, I didn't know this until this has come on tonight, that everything that goes into a beer extract wise has to be declared, and obviously they were allegedly bringing stuff in that wasn't being declared, and they've been the guy on the documentary has accused them of bringing them into the country illegally. Well, that's a hell of an accusation to make. I know they had this thing going around where you had the staff open letter to the owners of Brewdog, saying all their problems, and it sort of got dismissed without sort of really being taken up and ever addressed, and certainly not in the public. How long have Brewdog been going? Was it about 2009? Is it something like that? 2009, 2008, 2009? I'm sure I've got a quick Google. I'm sure someone, I know Mark Jenkins is up that way, so he'll probably tell me. Google. I'm sure they're about 2008, 2009. 2007. So yeah, so about 15 years they've been going, something like that. So I mean, and still probably one of the trendsetter in the original craft beer in the UK, but became everything that they swore not to be. 2007. Cheers, Mark. I was only a year out. I did quite well then. Hello, Baz. How you doing? Did anybody watch it? Did anybody watch what was going on while I was chuntering away? Because I'm interested to see what other people think about this, because I think I don't think, to be honest, I don't think it will damage them. You can do all these exposés on there. I don't think it's going to damage their company. I think if there was going to be massive damage, it would have been done with the open letter to James Watt and Martin Dickey that came out during lockdown, and that sort of went away and dissipated. So I don't think that this documentary will have a great deal of damage done to the company itself. I just don't. Won't be surprised. James Watt will be gone when they float on the stock market. I think if the allegations against him are, then his days will be numbered, I would think. Yeah, happy birthday, Dean. Hope you had a good day, mate. I'm hoping you've got some decent beer, and I'm assuming you'll have an unboxing maybe done tomorrow. People have been saying how Punk IPA has gone down a lot. It's changed at least 3 times in recipe. It's a shame, really, for people like Dean, and myself, and Baz, and a lot of you guys, Mark Jenkins, people that have tried Brewdog over the years. When it first came out, it was about 2009, Punk 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. It was a fantastic beer, absolutely fantastic. And now it's a watered down shell of itself. I'm brewing a clone one up there. That'll probably be twice a beer that ever was that it is now. Where can I find the documentary? It's on iPlayer, Colette, and it's on BBC Scotland. But what you might need to do is up in the right hand corner is just change your location to Scotland, and it should be on there. It's well worth watching. Won't do any harm to them at all. Look at Wetherspoons. You've hit the nail on the head, Mark. You could do all of these sort of exposés on companies, and I'm sure they'll see it as any publicity is good publicity. So that'll just bring more people to their company. It's not going to drive them away. The only thing that will drive people away is bad beer, and they make plenty of bad beer. But fortunately, they bring out some pretty decent stuff as well. I think the one that was reported in the UK was the 2 co-owners were just horrible to staff. Yes, that's right. Threatening to sack staff. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So there was none of this big stuff that was going on in America. That seems to be where the hotbed of most of the allegations were coming from. True, untrue. Go and watch the documentary, make your own mind up, is my answer to that. I'm not here sitting saying anything that's said in that expose is true or untrue. It's just what's been reported, and some of it, certainly around the I'll keep going back to it. The fact that they've not reported extracts in beers when they should be is naughty, really. It's a travesty. 2 young, enthusiastic homebrewers that have created a monster success with what's measured in millimetres. There's also a cracking bit in there, Dean. I don't know if you saw it. I'm assuming you're going to watch it at some point. Whereas that James Watt had actually bought shares in Heineken. And I think we've had this discussion at some point in time where he launched a bottle of Heineken in a rocket, and then went and sort of bought shares. Well, he has every right to go and buy shares in any company he wants to. It just makes him a slight hypocrite. And the gold can scandal. And there was something mentioned at the beginning when I was setting everything up. Didn't an employee write some obscene messages on the basis of some of the cans? So unbelievable. Yeah, Dean, I'm hoping you've been out and had a nice meal with Gemma. I know you were working today, so hopefully you've got a bit of time with Gemma, mate. And hopefully speak to you tomorrow, and we'll have a bit of a catch up. More gold in a Spandau Ballet record than that Brewdog can. Yeah, they had to didn't they re-release it because they said it was a solid gold can or something. I can't remember. Solid gold can, and obviously it wasn't. So, and then they redid it with a gold-plated can. Whatever you think of Brewdog, at one point, marketing geniuses, driving a tank through London, etc., just phenomenal. Unfortunately, They're just not the same company anymore, and certainly not making the same beers. Capable of a decent beer, unfortunately, it's hit and miss at best these days. Unfortunately, it's a name that does well these days. Wetherspoons come to mind. So again, I'll go back to Punk IPA and Spoons. It's everywhere else in the market it's 5.4%. In Wetherspoons, it's 5.2% for whatever reason. So are they watering it down in Spoons, or is it being sold at 5.2% to Spoons? I don't know. I noticed it about 5 weeks ago, I wonder. Something like that. Yeah, so if you've had Punk IPA in Wetherspoons, it's 5.2%, not 5.4%. The trouble is that coldness, because it's so served really cold, actually masks that quite nicely, to be fair. And it's actually quite a decent beer in Spoons these days. Got to go. Bad case of cramp. Take care. Cheers, Mark. They were advertising that you would win a gold can worth 22 grand, and a winner took it to a pawn shop, and apparently it was worth 200 quid. That's magic. That pink tank was a good showstopper. Again, you can't. When they were the masters of building their own media, and it was really good, and some of the stuff they did was fantastic. Firing a rocket, Heineken rocket up, and the tank, and they've done all sorts over the years. Now, unfortunately, they're just, I don't know, they're not interested in making decent beer anymore. Hello, Grant. How you doing, mate? How's things? How you keeping? You had a nice weekend. What's everyone up to for the rest of the week? I don't know what time it is. I'll give us about another 5 minutes and I'm going to go. So, interesting documentary. For me, it wasn't the bombshell I was expecting it to be. I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit more from it. A lot of the stuff has been insinuated anyway. So there wasn't a great deal new coming from it. I need to go and watch it again tomorrow when I'm not trying to sort of do two things at once, because being a man can't really multitask. Didn't they say part of the £22,000 value was in the uniqueness of the can as much as the metal? Well, that's a fantastic way of putting it, isn't it? We got to give it to them then, haven't you? Enjoyed the Hoppy Christmas beer, but not they have released recently, and now it looks like they're abroad in scandal. They're always abroad in scandal, aren't they? Let's be honest. They're and I think to a certain extent they probably revel in it. I don't think James Watt's going to revel in some of the accusations that have been made tonight. And obviously he's going to take legal action against the BBC. How far that'll go, who knows? But one of them's a lawyer, wasn't it? Was it James Watt or Martin Dickey? I can't remember which one it was. But it's interesting. It's an interesting documentary. I don't think it was quite the bombshell stuff that could have come out. And say a huge portion of that was certainly US based, since they've taken a lot of their operations out to America and sort of the Midwest. Hoppy Christmas. I'm sure I've done Hoppy Christmas. I did that a couple of years ago. Can't remember anything about it. I did that with Mistletoe Mafia. We did them two in the same week. Decent beers recently. Brewdog. Haven't had any. The only ones I've done is that Parma Violet thing that was bloody awful. Wonder Still Likes Layer Cake, and the Marshmallow Laser Quest. Obviously, they're not new. I need to get older. Have they redone Elvis juice back to 6 point whatever it is percent yet? Because they have. I need to pick one of them up. Because I used to like Elvis juice, but they changed the recipe and it just became utter shite. We have 2 Brewdogs in Glasgow, one in the centre, one in the West End, both always busy on weekends. We've got one in Southampton. And what I like about Brewdog, and we haven't been to the Brewdog in Southampton for some time, but their range of guest beers are always the things that are of interest to me, because they do have some decent guest beers come in. I actually had a bottle of the Hazy Jane the other night, and I actually quite enjoyed it. I know I've got a bit of a soft spot for Hazy Jane, the original Hazy Jane, because it's a beer that brought me and my good friend Dean together, and it's a beer that Wanda bought me when we first went to Brewdog in Soho. So it's got a little bit of and then they ruined it with these 3 variants of the same bloody beer: high gravity brewing, and then just watering down to bring down to 3 different ABVs. But I had a bottle of it the other night, and they do it in spoons as well for, was it £3.29? Something like that, which is pretty good. And it's 660ml bottle. You can't go wrong with it, really. Oh, what's that gone? Yeah, that was the response. Yeah, so it's more in the uniqueness of the can. Brilliant. The uniqueness is there. No gold in the gold can. Well, that was pretty unique. A gold can with no gold in it. You got to say that's fairly unique. We can see what the people in America think of this. Well, absolutely. They're out 6.5% of the website. I'll have a look. I want to get hold of one. The original Elvis juice, when it came out, and I know Dean is still in the chat, was an absolute belter of a beer. Really enjoyed Elvis juice, and then they brought it down to 5.1, and it's fucking shocking, horrendous. Right, odd location. That's Southampton. It's in the middle of nowhere, isn't it? It's like a little car park in the middle. Me and Wanda went to find it. It was like, well, it can't be around here. Surely it's fucking mental. But yeah, in the middle of bloody nowhere. But again, they do have nice guest beers in. And I think we were on about going over there at some point, Wanda, weren't we? Jet Black Heart was always good. I quite like Jet Black Heart. I like the I know just in Dean's comment again. Roaster Coaster in Tesco's is an absolute belter of a beer. I haven't had it for a while actually. I need to pick one up. I'm out of beer because I only had 2 today. Layer Cake, Jet Black Heart, good solid beers. Original Elvis juice was good. Loved it. I remember being very excited when the original Elvis juice was released, and bought about 8 cans of the stuff. Or was it in bottles originally? It might have been in bottles when it first came out. I think the original Elvis juice is only available on web orders. Okay, that's why I haven't seen it in Tesco's or anything. So yeah, go and watch the documentary. Come back and comment what you thought of it. I thought it was quite interesting. I don't think it was quite the bombshell thing that I was expecting it to be. But I enjoyed it. Enjoyed coming to speak to you guys. And I'm going to go off, have a cup of tea, and spend some time with Wanda. So I wish you all a very good evening. I've enjoyed your company. Oh, comment before we come in. The Fool's Gold Can. I bought a 4-pack of the Elvis juice as I had a free delivery code. Also ordered Brewdog versus La Trappe. I know Dean's had that. And arcade mode. I'll have a look on their website. Because even now, Brewdog beers still interest me. So yeah, have a good evening all. And I'm sure me and Wanda will catch you all very soon.